Hey guys, and welcome to another monthly video for Kickstarter board game news with a focus on miniatures, but I'll also include some STL file stuff, some card game stuff, just whatever catches my eye. Additionally, this is going to be a sponsored video, so stay tuned for that. I do have something to say about that. Trust me, at least sit through that little spiel so I can talk to you about it, because it'll be different than what you think. Let's go ahead and get started. As always, I'd like to start out with a huge and heartfelt thank you to my YouTube members and patrons. It is through their wonderful and generous support that a lot of these videos, both the content and the quality and the amount that I do, is possible. It is thanks to them that I have this camera, this audio, this lighting. All of that's thanks to them. A lot of this thanks to them. So if you have enjoyed my videos, it is in large part thanks to them. It means that I can take outside sponsors or no sponsors at all, that I can just work off Patreon and YouTube ads and stuff like that to give you honest opinion instead of taking money from these guys. Because that's the people who I'm critiquing, that's the people I'm talking about, and so that you know when I cover something, it's because I honestly believe in it. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, I got your guys' feedback that you want stuff grouped. So I'll have board games, and then I'll have some card games, and I'll have some STL files, some miniature 3D printing stuff, and then like upcoming stuff and whatnot. So it's going to be kind of grouped up like that, or even like meta stuff, so stuff around a board game, like tables and whatnot, right? So I'm going to be looking into that and grouping it that way. However, don't expect a whole lot in any group because, to be honest, I think September kind of sucks for a lot of these. Either it's so early that we don't know about them yet, or we do know about them, but I think they look like crap. And so, if you want a list of every single Kickstarter coming out, this is not the channel for you. This is a curated list. I just show you what catches my eye. If you want an entire list, there are other people who make lists that just kind of list everything under the sun, and you can see all those crappy games yourself. For me, I'm just covering this, and again, of course, this is all my opinion, whatever. Okay, Northgard. Based on a video game, looks decent. One of the things I wanted to point out, because I don't think I have, because I always talk about like the miniatures, right? Because they're like these tiny miniatures and the bigger ones. And first of all, what genre is this? Is this what they call a dudes on a map, or is this a 4X? Like, I think the lines blur a little bit for me when it gets to something like this, because it looks like you're doing a bit of all of it. Either way, you got the tiny minis and the big minis. A few things I wanted to point out. One is the artwork on the cards. Just artwork in general, I think is unique. It's very, colorful, but clean, but still detailed. It's not like blocky, anything like that. But the lighting. Do you notice the lighting in pretty much every single card? That is so unusual to see in board game art at all, or card game art. You just don't normally see this sort of kind of, almost spotlighting, right? Like it just, like everything has object source lighting on it, and I think a very cool way. Anyway, I've always really dug that. I think that it helps it stand out and be unique, and that's cool and all that. Their stretch goals, by the way, they're getting to the point where they just have like concept art, which means that they've already hit their stretch goals, and they're just expanding to where they don't have like the renders for these 3D miniatures. That's both a pro and a con, based off of the fact that it's a video game that was done well, and the fact that it's funded as well as it has. I'm pretty confident in it. I wouldn't, say you shouldn't back it or anything like that. I think that's actually a good thing. It just means you're getting more bang for your buck than even what they planned. Or were ready for, I guess, fully. Okay, next up, Sniper Elite, the board game. This one has seemed to kind of have a stall, and I suspect it's the content versus price. Because a lot of us, myself included, count content, both in how many scenarios or play sessions I feel I can get out of it, and miniatures. I don't care if you have a lot of cards. I don't care if you have a lot of tokens. I don't care if the cardboard's super nice. I mean, I care about all that, but that I'd put like almost no stock in it. If I'm being honest, it's just how we operate here on Kickstarter. I don't know why. I wish it wasn't the case, but it kind of is. And this is not a miniature heavy game. We're going to look at Massive Darkness 2 later on. That has a lot of miniatures. This does not. 10 32mm miniatures. 10. That's not a lot. And so I think that is what kind of gets a lot of people, right? is just that kind of because the true cost in a board game, besides making it, is developing it. So you're paying for the game, obviously, and of course it's still probably a good price per, play session, and stuff like that. But I still think it looks like a very cool game. I wouldn't recommend against it. I think it looks awesome. And in fact, the fact that it broke over 1,000 backers is cool, but it's just kind of getting there. And it might be a little bit because, Rebellion, only 2 created here. There is probably several different things to go for. I like the idea of a 1 versus many where the 1 is the hero and not the overlord. I still think that's this fundamentally cool idea. The fact that it's a 1 versus many with hidden movement and all this other kind of stuff. I think it has a lot going for it. It's just hard to readjust our brains a little bit, I think, sometimes. So I am not backing it currently. I got hit by Massive Darkness, too, and that's where a lot of my money went. I will see if I can swing this. I still have 6 days to look into it, so I'm going to be looking into, I have it saved here. I'll be looking at it the last 24 hours, and we'll figure it out from there. I'll let you know. Okay, this is a new one. This is New Ahsoka, or Soaka, or New Ahsoka, I guess. I don't know. I'm probably butchering that. I'm sorry. This is an interesting one. So, a commenter, a viewer of mine, hounded me on getting this, and so here it is. 16 days to go, 115 backers. The pledge of 8,000 is obviously fake, right? They're not going to make a game off 8,000. You have minimum order totals in pretty much every Chinese factory, so unless they're doing something, it's just not a thing, right? So they definitely need more than 843 to make it, unless there's something outside of what they show here on Kickstarter that they're doing, whether they have private funding or something like they can do, like businesses can do crazy stuff, but in general, you got a minimum order total or a factory won't even look at you. So it needs more oomph, right? I think the art and the style, I think, looks super cool. I'm glad it has funded. It means they can start adding stretch goals, which makes people feel really great. But if you notice here, like the stretch goals, they start at like 15, right? And this funding goal of 8K is still in orange, but it's not unlocked. So I'm assuming they're just get rid of the unlock. So it goes from 15 and then to 26 and then to 33. So it needs a lot more to get these. I mean, we're at like 130. I mean, we'll see. This looks cool. Again, I don't know about the quality of the miniatures. They look like they're designed fairly smart. I think this is kind of skinny, so that's not going to happen, right? This looks a little tiny. I think that's not going to happen. So there's some stuff I'm kind of looking at, like these tall antenna here, these 2 separate. I don't know about that because I think these things are pretty tiny anyway. Take a look at it. I think the style and the fact that it's a mech fighting game is inherently cool. The fact that it's like an affordable mech fighting game that's not going to cost you like $1 bajillion, $80, also cool. It's because the scale's smaller, but you can pilot mechs and shoot each other and fight. I mean, there's a lot of fun in that, right? And so it definitely has potential, I think. I haven't looked into it a whole lot, but there will be obviously links down below to all of this kind of stuff so you can look and make a decision on yourself what you think. Next up, Galaxy Hunters by IDW. Speaking of skinny, look, do not ever back a Kickstarter because the renders are pretty. Just don't do it. Don't do that to yourself. I didn't look too far past this, but I know IDW makes some great games when it comes to their adventure games. Below average quality. They typically rely on some IP. I think I can see why, considering the funding level of this. So normally they want to get you because you like Batman. They want to get you because you like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then the venture games I hear are actually quite good. It's just, I thought the component quality, it made a good excuse to complain about that again, I guess. I actually love this art style. Like, really, I like this art style a lot. I just think it looks good. And again, mechs. I love mechs. This is like a Pacific Rim game, but not. So I'm all about that. Like, it looks cool. I just wish that the renders looked realistic. So that's kind of a bummer. I would like to see something that just is a little bit more close to what I'd actually get, I guess. But looks cool. So Again, link down below. Check it out for yourself. It definitely needs the help and funding. So if you are interested, try and put more than $1 into it. If you can, if you believe in it, if you want it, and that should help everybody get a better product. Now I want to take a brief moment to talk to you about the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Now before you skip ahead or do anything like that, just hear me out, because I'm not the typical YouTuber, and they know that, and they still reached out to me, and so I'm not going to do your typical plug. I like to have conversations with you guys. I like to actually talk to you guys and keep it real. So that's what I'm going to do. So Skillshare reached out and wanted to cover this, kind of sponsor this video and have me tell you guys about their product. So I've been trying it out, and I actually kind of fell down a little bit of a rabbit hole. I can do that on most anything, like YouTube, Wikipedia, all that kind of crap, right? You start clicking links, you're like, oh, that sounds interesting. That sounds interesting. So, I really have enjoyed my time with this. So the first 1,000 people that click the link will get like 2 months free. You don't even enter a credit card. It's awesome. That's exactly what I'm using here, and it's great. Because you just have access to everything. And I must say, I have found this to be much higher than I thought of. Now, I've seen a lot of Skillshare ads, and I've never clicked the link and actually gone and looked. But I'm glad I did. I really am. So as you can see here, I've been watching this productivity masterclass by Ali. He is doing this dude is like a doctor and a YouTuber and like a writer and some other stuff, and he's doing everything. And me, as a full-time job plus YouTube plus family of 6, I'm always saying, like, I don't have time for everything. You guys have seen me. I have bags under my eyes. I don't get a lot of sleep. I edit at 3 a.m. in the morning. I do all this stuff, and I always feel like I don't have enough time. In fact, I feel like I don't have enough time to watch this, but I've been doing it. I've been trying it. It's about 2 hours long. I'm about 40 minutes into it at this point. And I guess, he's been great. He's been saying a lot of wonderful things that I've been trying to take to heart. I've been taking notes. This sort of stuff is important to anyone. It really is. It doesn't really matter where you're at in your life or who you are. I think a student could use this. I could use this in college. That's for sure. But this is just kind of a life skill thing I've had. I've watched one that they talked about a light box, right? And I used it for like taking photos of miniatures, because I do that, especially in like I'll be doing my Seikokushin stuff and stuff like that. And I learned new things. What I was impressed with is how many of these are just YouTube people that are doing like these high quality, super focused, super professional videos on Skillshare about a specific thing, so you can kind of search for it and look for it. For instance, I want to start using some After Effects stuff. Look at that. We have Jordy here, and he has a wonderful thing that I've literally kind of just started it, but I saw kind of the preview and stuff like that, and the quality is high. He has a YouTube channel that has like over 1 million subs and all that kind of stuff. That's actually what I know him from. This is great though, because I can look at this. It's compartmentalized. They have like different sections and how long each one is, how long a total is. So I can watch a section a day or something like that. And by the time I'm done with it, I'll be able to put some After Effects in my videos. I think that'd be super cool. Maybe I want to change my intro. Maybe I want to make my like little merch ads pop up a little bit more. There's a lot of stuff I've been thinking about personally that I wanted to do, and I've always wanted to learn After Effects, but God forbid I read something. Like, I'm not going to do that. I don't have time. That's why I'm on the productivity one, right? Like, I need to manage my time better. So anyway, I just wanted to really talk to you guys about how that they have art stuff. I watched a thing on just color theory. So I finally understand the color wheel, at least a little bit. I just watched kind of a beginner video, but there are more videos I could watch, and I think that's great. So whether you paint miniatures, whether you just are trying to manage your time, whether you're trying to learn something new or a new skill, all of that kind of stuff, the amount of learning you can do on this is incredible. I was honestly surprised. I think it's a great setup. They have reviews, they have discussions that are used. They have projects and resources where you can like look up more stuff. I love the fact that you can actually like look at the different parts of it and kind of see how far you are and stuff like that. This is great. It really is useful. So again, you have nothing to lose. The first 1,000 of you that click that link are going to get that 2 months free. And if it is taken up, if it's already done, we'll just let Skillshare know. They can sponsor another video, and then again, you guys can get in on that, because it's totally worth it. And I love the fact that I didn't have to put in any payment information or anything like that. I have access to everything. I think it's fantastic. Okay, moving on. Lizard Wizard. We are now on to card games. In fact, this is the only card game I am covering. And, well, sort of. Anyway, it's funded quite well. It's gonna beat, probably 300,000 here. It's only 13 hours ago, so by the time you see this, it will not be available. I'll still link to it so you can, hopefully they'll have like a late pledge or, miss the campaign sign up kind of form here. So you can go check it out. Again, this artwork, I like even more. This artwork is, I think, like that is pretty artwork. In fact, they should sell that as like a poster or something and get rid of all that blue on there. Anyway, very pretty game. It's got some miniatures that look kind of, decent. It's got what looks to be interesting, card play. Again, only thing I don't like is that red box. And this is a weird kind of bulge. Like, I don't understand the bulge there. It's like curved. I don't know why that's there, but anyway. Moving on, Uprising. This is like a standee card game, right? It's kind of in between there. Again, this is actually, I think, my favorite world in this. Maybe not necessarily even my favorite art, but I really dig just the theme and the world. And the gameplay, actually, I did take a look at it. It looks pretty decent. Again, it's still not for me. It's still standee. They look like they're doing acrylic standees, so they're going to be kind of nice. I actually appreciate the color outline. And the fact that they're to shape. I think that both of those help with some of the standee issues. And actually with standees, and you can pick up a whole bunch and move them, and they should be weighted and kind of stand and feel kind of nice. But since they're doing a lot of inlays, it looks like a quality game. They have some expansions, so you can expand it and get more stuff and more enemies and more variety and all that kind of stuff, which I think is great. But it's nothing crazier out there. You're not going to have $1,000 pledge here or anything like that. So this actually looks pretty recommended for me. For everything I've seen about it, I've liked. Even if it's something that my group won't necessarily play. I tend to like games more than my group does, or at least I like more games than my group does. My group is very much like, hey, if we got to pick something, we're going to go play Conan again or something like that, right? And so something like this, you'd be like, hey, yeah, that was fun. Let's go play Conan. Right, so it's right there. So that's kind of how they are. It's just, like you know what you like, and if you're going to drive all the way to my home on a Saturday afternoon and spend 3 hours here or more, you want to make sure you enjoy yourself as much as you can. And that's it's kind of like ordering from the same thing off the menu over and over again, which I tend to do too. So anyway, Wildlands. Now we're kind of getting into the meta, the kind of terrain or cards or tables or something like that. Again, obviously it's doing pretty well. Interesting enough, I don't think it's grown that much. It has about 7 days left to go at time of recording. It'll be less than that for you, but not by too much. I imagine after 8, Dwarven Forge pretty much has its following, and anybody who's interested follows them. You can actually click the Dwarven Forge and follow them, and you'll be notified anytime they launch anything. I do that with some creators, and so I bet they get a whole bunch at the beginning and probably a whole bunch at the end, and then they're not doing like some crazy stretch goal scheme or anything like that, so it's just kind of flat right now. But I imagine by the time you see this, it'll start uptaking again pretty soon. Dungeons & Lasers, 2nd edition by Archon Studio, is doing great. It's at 250,000 now at the time of 251,000 at the time of recording. I'm not going to keep updating, but it keeps going up. It looks great. I'm going to show some of the dragons here, but oh my gosh. In fact, if you have Nemesis, pay attention. There's an alien xenomorph kind of dragon. Again, I think it looks great. This whole, it's great plastic. I have some of the plastic that they use. It's fantastic. And the snap-in, it looks like it's great. Several of my patrons have this. They've been showing it off and painting it. It looks great. I think I actually probably will see about getting into this. And I don't even play D&D or anything like that. I just really like terrain. I really, really like terrain. I can't stress that enough. I nerd out over it. I'll nerd out over putting it in other games. I would do that. I would put this in other games in a heartbeat. They have a whole bunch of different styles. Let's get to the dragons. Okay, here we go. Dragons. They got a whole section. This is actually my least favorite. I think his mouth is open a little too big for me. Everything else looks great. I love the sculpted base. And anytime you get a miniature that's not even touching the base, like the flat base, you know you're doing good here. Thal, the necro dragon, the skeleton dragon. Looks freaking sweet. I love it. You get to the Durker. This is like the kind of the beefy, big-chested kind of dragon with the huge wings and a kind of spiky white face. Love this style of dragon. You have the freaking storm dragon, which has like the kind of like gizzard gold thing, which is kind of cool. I hadn't seen this curved holder here, and I don't know exactly why it's curved like that, but it's kind of interesting. Maybe not just to be so perpendicular, perhaps, but it's got like electrical crap all over it, which I think is sweet, and that base that kind of like put out like that is great. You have multi-headed dragon. This one's alright, I suppose. Probably not necessarily my favorite. And then, of course, you have the Xeno dragon with the head inside of a head. That is freaking sweet. If you want to upgrade your queen, there you go. 6.5 inches. This thing is huge. That is freaking sweet. I dig that. Oh, I like a guest dragon. Which looks like again, his mouth is a little more open than I would necessarily appreciate, but I dig the magma stuff on his wing. I think that looks freaking sweet. So anyway, these are going to be super cool. I am sure. I love it. Like you can see, they're scaled well, even for Warhammer, which is impressive. They have a half scale if you're concerned about the lighting. Look at that. Ah, it's awesome. I love it. Okay. Anyway, I can't keep looking at, I'm going to get jealous of all the other people doing it, but, it looks great. And the pricing actually seems quite great considering the quality of this. This is all like hips plastic kind of stuff. It's very, very good stuff. Okay. Enough about that. Highly recommended. Pirates of Atlantis, I told you about this before. It's sitting at about 26,000, was 68 hours ago. Again, it might not be available by the time I post this. If it is, it's like close. So, follow the link down below and check it out. This is what drew me in. It still is. That looks freaking sweet. If they look that good, I am all about printing that and enjoying that. And it's super unique. You get squid dudes and all sorts of other stuff, which is just cool. Cool. If you're into D&D, I think that's probably something that you would enjoy. Hey guys, this is just a super quick edit. I know this is kind of a different format because I'm just doing audio here, but I just wanted to record this. I'm editing the video right now, and I got wind of the fact that the Limbo Eternal War, their next miniature line Kickstarter, is going to be up here. I probably actually by the end of September, so in like just a few days. But if not, it'll be early next week. It has to do with whether or not it gets approved and whatnot, and the fixes and minor updates go in. But here is a picture of Restoria, one of the new miniatures there, and as you can see, it's amazing. Now, obviously, I can never paint this good. It's just not a thing, especially with that freehand. But the miniature design and how cool that is, I love that she has this banner flag, but she has it pointing down, and then it's like the ribbons are behind her kind of thing. I think that's fantastic. It's a genius move. The little bit of terrain there on the bottom is cool. It's just a very cool and well-designed miniature. I think her facial expression's great. I like a lot about this. I've seen all of the other ones that they have on offer. I actually have a little bit of access to that preview page, and trust me, it's something you want to look to. So I will link to it down below once it's live, once it's available. So you might not see it day one, but just come back to this video and click that link, bookmark it, keep the tab open on a Chrome or whatever it is you want to do to kind of try and get a reminder. If I can get a early link to kind of, follow it so when it's launched, I will put that in. So you can go in and check that out. I don't have it right now, but I'll add it if I can. And so just, if that link's there, if you're interested, by all means follow it. Otherwise, you can come back in probably just a few days or by the end of September and again, click that link below. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you because I really, really love these miniatures. They're super high quality, especially these nice 75mm, fancy resin ones. They're amazing. And if you are a painter, it's definitely worth it to paint a fancy miniature at least once. It's a totally different experience, and they are really awesome like this. All right, let's get back to it. All right, now we are into the tables, right? And so this was a kind of a new one, the Megan board game table, and it's at 14 days to go. It's still expensive, of course, right? And they're really just kind of doing this one thing, and then you can add benches and drawers and also a freaking TV stand, and you can customize this thing to a crazy degree. It has the world's first cat holder. Yay. Anyway, it looks very nice, obviously. I like the tracks where you can just kind of move and adjust things depending. I think that's a neat idea. I like it. You can have like this thing in the middle to hold all the tokens, and of course you can slide that either way. They have some really cool stuff that I didn't see Wormwood doing, and so I wanted to kind of put this out here. It looks like their topper is multiple pieces instead of, maybe just one big piece that you put on there, which I think I like more, though it depends on storage. They also have a thing where, based off how it locks in, you could spill water on it, doesn't get through, right? Because of how it's probably stepped or something like that. Anyway, there's a lot here that I think makes it look interesting or cool. You can see you can have much more space on there too. Go ahead and take a look down below, especially if you're already back in the Wormwood, and just check it out, I would say, and see which one obviously, a lot less people are on this one. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad or good or anything like that. Obviously, they're not Wormwood. They don't have the big YouTube presence and kind of they just don't have the presence, right? But that doesn't mean it's bad. I thought it looked pretty good, so there you go. I listed it. Let's go to Wormwood. They're at 7.6 million. They're doing quite well. They have 44 days to go, which is crazy. I'll be talking about this next month. Speaking of which, can you believe it's September? Like, where did August go? Where did the summer go? This COVID thing has been so messed up. Nothing's changed here really, except the number keeps going up. Okay, now we're looking at stuff that's going to be coming. First up is Fray, Champions of the Everyverse. This is going to be the second time it's on here. It's by Brain Sandwich Games. I actually, when I looked at this, I checked out the company. I saw they made like an apples to apples knockoff called Permalast Email, and I actually bought that to play with my team at my new job, and we've been having fun with it. It's goofy and silly and not always work appropriate, and I think that's what's kind of great about it. But either way, it's a real thing. They delivered it. I actually have it. I bought it. I paid for it with my own money. And so, like, at least we know the company, it's not a scam or anything like that. They will make the game. They will ship it, all that. I think the idea is awesome. I love the idea of, I'm going to have a pirate versus your ninja versus your, dwarf versus your techno person versus, like, I dig that. I think fundamentally that's a cool idea, and I love skirmish games. Not so much arena skirmish games. I have a game called Arena, so I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, you can check that out again, link below, especially if you were in on the first one. Speaking of trying again, Neo-morphosis Infestation is also coming back. I'm going to assume here in September, though I don't have an exact date on this. However, it looks like they've added some more mechanics, kind of made it a little bit more of just added some more oomph to the game, and perhaps changed a little bit of the theming, because you can tell it's just a little bit darker, at least on the box art. We'll have to see about the rest of it. Next, we have Twisted Fables. It has a little bit more of a CG style look to it, but I think it fits kind of the theme it's going for. And as you can see, it's been doing a ton of different ones. So you can come into the Facebook if you want. I'll go ahead and link to it, and you can kind of check all the different art. They've been sharing a lot of it. Gameplay mechanic wise, though, maybe not quite so much. And so all we know, it's a 2 to 4 player 2D fighting game that's based off cards, right? And so we'll be learning more here. I think they'll be ramping it up very, very soon here. And of course, I will cover that as well. Okay, so I had mentioned Fallen Knight before. It looks very Kingdom Death Monster-ish. Obviously, this guy looks freaking crazy cool. They have over 1,000 followers now. A lot of that I know was thanks to you guys. Because I know my audience. I mean, what can I say? Because I know what I like, and I know that anybody here tends to like, kind of the stuff I like or is interested in it, or I don't know why you'd watch me. So anyway, that's great. That's awesome. However, the creator seems to be a little weird. And so we were talking about like, hey, yeah, look, they made it over 1,000. Congrats. And people are like, hey, when are you going to release? And we're like, hey, we want to launch in September. However, we want about 3,000 to 4,000 subs. Well, look, I got you 1,000. Yeah, at some point, you're just going to have to roll with it. None of these other ones, by the way, 770, 887. Okay, well, even Wormwood only has 7,000 total, and that's on an actual Kickstarter from a company that's made 14 others. There's a huge YouTube presence and all that kind of stuff. You can't just run a Facebook page that you barely update, and assume you're going to get 4,000 subs. It's not going to happen. You'll never release. Okay. Moving on. Agents of Smersh. It sounds hilarious. It's called Epic Edition. I have no idea what this game is about. Please let me know in the comments below, seriously, because it sounds silly and it looks like a lot of people know it from something else that I don't. I'm still a little bit newer to all these board game stuff, so I don't know why this guy's peeling off his skin. That's probably a mask. I'm assuming it's kind of like a Mission Impossible kind of thing, but a little wacky. My assumption, but do let me know. Nexus, if you recall, I used to cover this. It was unsuccessful in funding. It got about half of what it was asking for. It is coming back again on the 29th. They decided to put it here where this Kickstarter player is and not upload it to YouTube. So this is how I have to watch it. So you're going to have to, maximize it just to see, but it's September 29th. So again, that'll be coming like the day after I post this. So be on the lookout for that. Black Sun Miniatures. This is a beautiful bust. They have the full version, but it's just her kind of standing and then this up top, right? It's really meant, I think, for this bust. I think this is what sells it. This looks super cool. The art, by the way, looks fantastic. They have like these red eyes and it's kind of this kind of blue, gray kind of moonlit tone. And so that cool color with the red eyes and the kind of splashes of red look awesome. I was actually even thinking about you could do like an OSL off the book, like the book had like glowing runes or something like that. I think that'd be freaking sweet. There's a lot you could do here. That looks cool. So be on the lookout for that by Black Sun Miniatures. Now, I don't know how they're going to release that, but either way, I thought you guys might want to know about it because I thought it looked freaking sweet. Next up, we have Townsfolk Tussle. This is another boss battler skirmish game. It's a co-op boss battler adventure to defend the vintage cartoon town. This looks like Cuphead, right? I mean, it looks absolutely wacky. I mean, look at this. I appreciate the art. It doesn't have that cool factor for me, right? Like, I struggle to fight whatever the heck this thing is. Like, I think it's cool. Granted, it's got hands for feet. I appreciate it. It's just, again, I know my gaming group, and while I would appreciate this game more than them. That being said, it looks freaking slick. Like, it looks like, I love the kind of desaturated greens here, and I think they have everything down pat. I like that it's on a square grid with square bases. I like that it fits kind of where what it's going for. It looks very obvious. It looks like there's a lot of, you can have a building and a forest and a hut and a barrel and, whatever this is, and fences. So it looks like a quality game as far as I can tell from early pictures. Massive Darkness 2. Wow. Okay. So this like exploded. So let's go here. 21,000. 3.8 million. It finally broke Massive Darkness 1, which was at about 3.5 million. Now, it did that, and if I'm not mistaken, it ended up being maybe a little bit more expensive. It's also later on Kickstarter. It lost a lot of potential, I think, up front, just because it is so different. Even if it's something great, it's still different than what was before, and so some people like one, some people like the other, some people like both. That's fine. It's just is what it is. They added an all-in at the end, which I ended up doing for the gameplay of it, because it was just $275. I'll actually let you know exactly what I backed or what my line of process was. But before I do that, actually, they added Hades, because why not? He's like this masked dude on this kind of river of people that are angry and coming at you. Pretty interesting. They actually added several others. They had like a metal angel and all sorts of other stuff. I'm not going to go link to it. There's a paladin and other stuff. You can look at it if you want. They added the druids here. I don't believe that was there when I covered it last. So the druids and Beelzebub. So it's a druid class, and then all their different forms. It can be a raccoon. That's weird. A bear. Heck yeah. A hawk. Heck yeah. And a raccoon. So anyway, that's where I'm at. That's where I was. And again, they added some cool stuff there. I'm going to go ahead and move on from that and keep going. Core Clash funded. They made 466,000 Hong Kong dollars at the end. I don't know what that is in US dollars, but either way, it's a lot more than what they were asking for. So congrats to them. I hope that they do well and succeed and maybe make more in this line, maybe something a little bit more advanced in Meteor so that I can jump on it. I think that'd be awesome. Or perhaps it's a miniature line. I'd be interested in that too. Token Terrors also funded. They made a very modest 29,000, but they were a very modest, tiny little 1 versus 1, kind of little skirmish sort of game. So I think that's quite fitting. Good for them. Nemesis, Lockdown, Pledge Manager launched, and they made an app. There's links here. You can do it. iOS, Android, follow whichever link you want. It like adds some theme and some music. It deals with turn counters, events, character and objective choices, bag development, and end-of-round activities. I'm not interested in most of those, or at least I wouldn't be. I don't own the game anymore. But they'll be adding to it, and it should become a little bit more beefy over time. So that's cool. And then, of course, the Pledge Manager. Okay. Now that I've talked about that, let's go ahead and talk about everything you can lay pledge. You can still lay pledge Battletech Clan Invasion, Chronicle X, Waste Knights 2nd Edition, the Isafarian Guard, Zoravia, Storm Sunder, Tenaris Adventures, Frosthaven, Final Girl, Wolfenstein the Board Game, Conan the Conqueror, Tales of Terror, Aeon Trespass Odyssey, Dawnshade the Watcher's Prophecy, Carnival Zombie 2nd Edition, The Hunters AD 2114, Oathsworn Into the Deepwood, and Wonderland's War. Now, I'm sure there are others, and if you know them, let me know, like down below. Go ahead and comment, say, hey, this, I'll add it to the list. I do that all the time. That's fine. Let everybody know so that everybody can be more well-informed. This is a cool little thing. This is by Peterson Games, but they're just talking about tooling with miniatures. It's a great read. I'll list it down below. I think it's awesome. They take this guy and just kind of walk you through a lot of the different processes for all these different kind of things. Seriously, it's a good read. If you're spending as much money as I am on these miniature games, it's worth it to know what they're all about. It really is. So definitely, just take a quick look at it. It says that's 326 views. I'd love to see that higher, because I think anytime somebody's willing to explain the process behind these games that we make, it's worthwhile. Okay, next up, Clash of Minds, Holmes and Moriarty. This is not something I'd covered before, but I was linked to it for my opinion, and so I'm giving my opinion. So, it is behind schedule, and actually, incidentally, since they've done that, there has been an update. It used to just be this. So all this really says is, hey, we've paid for everything. However, because of COVID afterwards, to get caught up, we have had our place knocked down for bigger games. But that we'll get back in line, and we'll know what that date is, and then we'll deliver the product. While they are not good at communicating very often, and while they're not good at talking about, this should be more than a paragraph. And honestly should. So they need to work on their communication in general. I'm not actually concerned. Trust me, this is not even close to the first time I've heard of this happening. It actually happens all the time. What happens is, and you got to understand the industry here. So these manufacturers, they view a lot of these Kickstarters as just a one-off. It's a one and done deal, right? Not so much because the Kickstarter necessarily is, though typically they are, but because they're not a retail thing, right? Where, we're going to be making all of these and shipping them worldwide to all these retailers, and we're going to be restocking all the time, and we're selling through them all the time. This isn't Small World. This isn't Sellers Like a Ton. This isn't Monopoly, right? These are things that's a bulk order, and you get it done, and then you never see it again. All those molds you did, all that tooling you did, all that stuff, not used again. Maybe it'll come up again. What? A second time? Maybe a third? That's 3 printings. The point being that just fundamentally, that's how they view these. These are, okay, let's get this done, let's get this done, let's get this done. And so, let's say I am a manufacturer, and I'm manufacturing, Clash of Minds, Holmes versus Moriarty. And I'm about to start, you guys are next in line, and then Command comes in and says, hey, we have this, Death May Die. We need you to print this. Well, what they're going to do is they're going to say, well, okay, hold on. We'll get you, Command, because it's a bigger order, and you're just looking at these one-off things anyway. Okay, well, we'll do that first, and then we'll do that. Combine that with catching up with COVID-19 kind of delays, and I guarantee, not only have I already heard of this done before COVID-19, but I guarantee it's been happening a lot, because it's kind of all over the place, because they're just trying to make sure that they're huge orders. In other words, if they're going to upset people for being late, they'd rather upset 1,500 people than 13,000 people that backed this other huge thing. So the bigger ones get priority. It just happens. It sucks. It'd be nice if, we were next and maybe we won't take as long. It just is what it is. I'm not too concerned about that. They just need to work on their communication. But I'd hold tight and see how it goes. Maybe I'm wrong, but what they said, I've heard before. It's not some made up scenario. Okay, moving on. We have Dark Rituals. This is freaking sweet. We actually get to see real stuff. This was worthwhile though. I'm going to go ahead and play this for a little bit, but what you're going to see is, first of all, you can see them kind of putting in miniatures. I don't know what manufacturer they're using. I'll try to get that information for my own personal, kind of use behind the scenes, if nothing else. But what you'll notice is some people replacing them. In fact, they have obviously everybody's kind of looking at different things and see he's kind of sorting through things as well. A lot of points of contact looking at. I was actually impressed by this. I thought this was very interesting. It's also impressive how long of a track this is. But you'll see that some people will have different replacements and take things out. I'm kind of skipping around a little bit here, so I might skip over some of those parts. But yeah, you can see they're just people. Give it a quick glance. No, you're not going to see everything there, but you know what? That's like one of 3, 4, 5 people just doing the same thing. Look, right over again. Look, they already have some stuff out. So like see that one? Nope, that one's no good. Take that sucker out. That's a bad one. And then they have some replaceable ones that are already verified good. There you go. I don't know whose that is. Maybe that's mine. I don't know. But I'm glad that they did that. Again, they do it again. I found this fascinating. I really, really did. It's a very interesting way to do it. I noticed that they're not looking at the back, right? Just the front. Maybe they're just looking at assembly. I'm not sure. But it was interesting to see them all do it by hand and to just have a line of people look at this sucker, trying to kind of do it all as it's constantly moving forward. Very cool video. And then, of course, some pretty cards. Okay, Wild Ascent. This is by Lazy Squire Games. Again, talking about, hey, look, it's real. They have unboxings. Archon sent them some stuff. They unboxed it. Everybody seems to be happy with it. That's freaking sweet. In fact, some people said, hey, I thought we were getting cards. Aren't you getting like cardboard? Like, that's awesome. So, if you backed that, be sure to check that out. Next, we have Nemesis. And this is just Nemesis, the board game. And what I wanted to cover here is that they opened up their pledge manager again and added more stuff. So now you have new Lockdown Alien Kings and new Lockdown Cats and they are also upgrading all of the core box miniatures, which I think is fantastic because while Easter still sucks and I hate them as a manufacturer and I've never been happy with anything they've ever given 100%, they are getting better. They are better. So these would be better. So that's good. Happy to see that. I think that'll be great. So in other words, now like he'll actually look closer to his render, right? You can see the kind of the scratches on his head and the kind of more doodads on the gun and whatnot. Anyway, looks great. They added a whole bunch of stuff. These box inserts, before you look, they're hugely expensive. Of course they are. They're custom made inserts that actually have like fancy art and acrylic lids and stuff like that. I like that they are even offering inserts, though. I think that's an awesome thing to do. I think that's hugely beneficial to the people who are willing to spend that much money to do it. And better to give them to you than a third party, right? Right? So I think that makes sense. They added plushies and hoodies and all sorts of other stuff and painted miniatures. And seriously, like you could Nemesis the crap out of Nemesis at this point. Next up, Kingdom Rush, Rift in Time. They have a delivery. Fulfillment begins October 26th. So soon. Next up, we have Oko Chronicles, and they had this kind of cool thing, which I think is great. Anyway, they're making it. They were going to get the final thing, then they're going to print it in 8 weeks, and then 5 weeks out, final shipping. That puts us in about early December at the earliest for delivery. But as you can see, it's a real thing. Look at that. It's the box we're going to get, so that's pretty exciting. Moving on, this is just cool to share. Celestial still a ways out. It's going to be 2021. But here's another miniature from it. Now, this is not the coolest, craziest miniature I've ever seen. But what it does point out is just how freaking unique the Celestial miniatures are. Like, the world they have here is insane. Like, this kind of freaks me out and weirds me out. And there's weird proportions everywhere. And it's just crazy. It's this crazy zaniness that this is a thing. I do always appreciate a miniature that's not like anything else I have. It's just inherently more exciting to paint and look at and interact with just because it's so different. It's not a barbarian with 2 axes going like this. That's been done since like Hero Quest, okay? We're over that. That is freaking unique, whatever it is. This is kind of big news. So Archon announced Masters of the Universe Fields of Eternia, the board game. Now you might be thinking, wait, Kaman is making a Masters of the Universe board game. You are correct. But if you recall, Kaman's game is not available to anybody in Europe. Archon's game is not available to anyone outside of Europe. Because IP holders suck. Masters of the Universe is held by a different IP owner, a different company in Europe than it is everywhere else. So Kaman made a deal with a company that does everything but Europe, and Archon made a deal with everybody in Europe, or the company that deals with Heroes of the, or Masters of the Universe in Europe. So that's kind of the difference there. Honestly, from what they described, it sounds pretty neat. It sounds pretty much like a skirmish game where you're building up teams and factions and stuff like that. I dig it. I think it's awesome. They have like their first miniature out now that you can get. Like you can get this guy. Why not? He-Man on a Battle Cat. Sure. Except again, not in Europe. Kind of a bummer. Another big thing is Monster Hunter, the board game. It's official. It's a thing. And in case you couldn't guess, it's by Steamforged Games. You should have guessed it anyway because it's a video game IP. And so anytime there's a video game IP that's loved by people, Steamforged Games is interested in buying the rights to it so they can slap it on their games. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. First of all, great looking box. I dig it. It says Monster Hunter World, the board game on it. Is it really Monster Hunter World? Okay, so it is based off of just that version of the game. That's interesting. You can see kind of their miniatures here. You'll notice that they made the people tiny and, at only about 3 centimeters, it's about 30 millimeters. And this is at 132 millimeters up to the wing, obviously. So his mouth still isn't quite big enough to like bite this guy, super hardcore. But anyway, I'll talk about that in a little bit. What I found interesting is that their only release stuff is a teaser trailer where they kind of announce that that it's going to be a game. And then this article here where they have, a box art and some miniatures and it looks like 3 of them at least, and high level, fundamentally what the game is. Now, I'm going to tell you about this game, the gameplay, and you tell me if it sounds like anything familiar. We'll just go with that. Okay. So, essentially, it's going to be card-based combat where you're doing combos with your cards. But you also have to, it's like stamina based, so you have to like use your cards to pay for other cards that you're using. And you have to balance between using those offensively and defensively. Now stop me if you've heard this before. Additionally, they're going to have different weapon types, and each weapon type comes with its own set of cards. So that if you use different weapons, you get different cards, and you kind of battle the monsters that way. If that doesn't sound exactly like Primal, it's because you didn't know what Primal the Awakening was. So to catch you guys up, if you don't know, Primal the Awakening is essentially Monster Hunter the board game, but they don't have the license. It kind of made their own kind of world, but it's heavily inspired by that. So you have item sets, you have crafting, you have these big monsters that you're fighting, and it's all card combat where, they both have to kind of deal with aggro based off of your actions and other aspects around that. Anyway, and it is a card combo based system where you have these different items or these different weapons, and that gives you different decks, and that's kind of your different classes that you play. In other words, it's the exact same at a high level as this one. Now, I just like to point out that first of all, Primal has been having its gameplay known for a couple months now, and it probably takes about that long to get an IP. And additionally, there is nothing in the video game Monster Hunter, I've played it, there's nothing in Monster Hunter the video game that inherently, naturally leads directly to combo-based card system. It could easily be ability or skill-based based off of your weapon. It could easily be a gear grind. It could easily be a dice chucker. Nothing sets it up for that naturally. It'd be silly to think otherwise. It's not like it's a deterministic game of any sort, actually. In fact, when I heard that Primal was card-based, I thought that was honestly kind of crazy because I felt that you almost needed the swinginess of it, and it'd be almost more like a normal boss battler. In fact, that's what most boss battler genre games are they're ability and dice based, and then kind of gear based. They're not typically card based, and so to buck that norming and be so exact to Primal, and then suddenly have the IP a couple months later. I'll just leave it at that. You can judge however you wish based off that information. But I thought it was very interesting that a few months after Primal announces their Monster Hunter inspired board game based off of a unique style of combat in the boss battler genre, that Steamforged Games comes out with the licensed Monster Hunter board game, and all they have is this fundamental design that is also that same unique gameplay mechanic. Anyway, that's it. That's all I had. That was a ton of stuff. This is going to be a huge month, so it's a lot to go over, but it wasn't, full of a whole bunch of new stuff. There's a whole bunch of updates and a whole bunch of just stuff, a bunch of news to talk about. So I hope you liked the video. Again, there's a ton of links down below, so check them out down below. And please, let's show some love for my new sponsor so we can welcome them to the channel, and hopefully that we can have a long relationship with them, and it can help a ton of you guys. I know it's helped me. So anyway, that's it for now. I'll talk to you again early next week. So until then, have a wonderful freaking weekend.